Which binary options broker is best in 2026? It's a popular question, but too broad. Best for what? For turbo options, calm trading, chart analysis, stable payouts, or copy trading. These are different tasks, and the same platform doesn't always fit them all. One broker might be great for fast expirations but weaker for analysis, while another is calm and stable but with limited assets. A third works well as a universal platform, and a fourth is interesting not for its terminal but for extra features. In this video, I'll show the brokers I trade with in 2026 and explain why I don't limit my trading to just one platform. I'll start with Quotex. I've been in binary options for over 12 years, so I don't judge a broker by standard features like a demo account, minimum deposit, or a nice interface. You could say that about almost any platform. Those facts might help a beginner get their bearings, but for someone with experience, they aren't the main criteria at all. I look at brokers differently. It's important to me that the platform doesn't break my workflow, so I can quickly open a chart, pick an asset, set the expiration, check the payout, and decide without extra steps between analysis and entry, without a cluttered terminal or feeling like the platform hinders more than it helps. For me, Quotex isn't the best broker of all time or some kind of magic button. I evaluate it pragmatically. Today it fits my needs, so I use it. If it stops fitting, I'll just leave. In trading, you can't get emotionally attached to a platform. A broker is a tool, nothing more. Why does Quotex remain in my rotation in 2026? Because it handles several practical tasks at once. First, it's a solid, universal terminal. On Quotex, it's easy to work with different expirations, from short trades at 30 seconds or 1 minute to calmer scenarios at 15, 30 or 60 minutes. This is important to me because I don't force the market into one format. I look at the movement structure, volatility, session activity, and choose the timing based on that. Sometimes, a short expiration is justified by a clear impulse and entry point, but other times the market is too noisy, and trying to catch a move on turbo options isn't trading, it's just extra risk. So it's vital that the platform doesn't limit me to one style, but lets me adapt to the specific market situation. Second, Quotex doesn't clutter the terminal with extra noise. For binary options, that's a plus. You don't need to act like an analytical center with 20 windows and 40 indicators here. What matters more is quickly assessing the market, understanding the context, picking an expiration, and deciding. Over years of trading, I've learned that extra tools often don't help, they just create an illusion of control. A trader starts looking for confirmation where there is none, overcomplicates the entry, jumps from signal to signal, and ends up trading their doubt instead of a system. I like Quotex because the terminal is simple and fast. It doesn't distract from the essentials: chart, asset, payout, expiration, entry, or skip. For an experienced trader, this is normal because professionalism isn't about the number of indicators, but the quality of decisions. Third, payouts. Yes, Quotex can have high percentages on some assets, up to 98% for a correct forecast, but I wouldn't make that the main argument. A high payout doesn't turn a bad forecast into a good one. If you lack a system, risk management, and discipline, even a high payout won't help. The deposit will still go to the broker. To me, the payout is a filter, not a reason to enter a trade. First the signal, then the asset, then expiration, then the conditions. A high payout in itself is not a trading signal. It's just a trade condition, not a reason to enter. The main reason I keep using Quotex is that it doesn't try to be more complex than necessary. This is a working terminal for binary options. It's not perfect, not holy, and not for everyone, but it fits my style. For me, the main criterion here is simple. I'm not looking for a broker to earn from me. I'm looking for a platform that doesn't stop me from executing my trading plan. The difference is huge. The next broker I trade with is Binomo. I wouldn't call it a universal broker for every situation. For me, Binomo is primarily a platform for short-term trading. Why do I highlight this? Because in binary options, it's very important that the broker matches your style. If you trade calm deals for 15 or 30 minutes, that's one story. But if you work with short impulses, 1-minute expirations, fast reactions from levels or indicator signals, the platform must be tailored for that pace. With Binomo, you can feel it. Here, the platform's logic itself has historically revolved around turbo options. Quickly chose an asset, quickly checked the payout, quickly set the expiration, quickly made a decision. The platform doesn't overload the process and doesn't take away unnecessary attention. For short-term trading, this is important because every extra pause, extra click, or bad element can really throw off the pace and ruin the entry. Binomo fits short-term trades well in this regard, and it's visible not through marketing slogans but through the platform's mechanics. Short expirations here don't look like something added by accident. Quick asset selection, clear expiration, standard indicators at hand, entry without extra steps. All of this is well suited for working with short impulses. So when I need 1-minute trades and quick setups, Binomo feels like a natural environment, not a platform you have to adapt to for a long time. But here's an important point. Short expiration is not a get-rich-quick button. It's the toughest format in binary options. There's no time to think after the entry. Mistake with the level, entered on noise, jumped in after a losing streak, and the market punishes you quickly. So I wouldn't recommend Binomo to someone who doesn't understand discipline, risk, and a trading plan at all. I don't judge Binomo by the surface-level parameters that look good in reviews. The main advantage is elsewhere. If you already have a system for short trades, Binomo doesn't stop you from using it, and for an experienced trader, that's sometimes more important than a dozen fancy features you don't use anyway. So my conclusion is this: I see Binomo not as a broker for everyone, but as a convenient platform for quick setups. If I need short expirations, clear mechanics, decent speed, and an environment where short-term trading feels natural, Binomo remains one of the first options I look at. Now I'll tell you about the broker Binolla. For me, Binolla isn't a broker from the login, take a look and forget category. I'd put it right next to Quotex as another versatile option for various trading tasks. And here is why. When you have more than a year of binary options under your belt, you no longer look at a platform through a beginner's eyes. Oh, there are many assets, a demo, and pretty buttons here. That's all secondary. What matters is how much space the platform provides for work. Binolla has that space. There's no feeling that the platform is designed only for the simplest trades without proper analysis. It's broader, digital options, other market instruments, assets, indicators, graphic tools, and analytics. So you don't just open a trade for the sake of it, but can build a solid trading logic around it. Check the context, confirm the signal, choose an asset, and only then make a decision. This is important to me because the market is different every day. Sometimes it gives a clear move where you can work with the trend and calmly wait for your entry point. And sometimes the price becomes noisy and erratic, without a clear structure, and then you have to change your approach. Look at other assets, add filters, switch to a different time frame, or skip some signals altogether. And this is where Binolla's versatility becomes an advantage. I'll specifically mention the analytics. I don't like it when a platform is overloaded with extra features, just for a pretty picture. In trading, the number of buttons is less important than whether you can properly analyze the situation before entering. Mark a level, see the momentum, evaluate the zone, the price reaction, add a filter, and only then make a decision. Binolla has enough of these tools, not just for show, but for proper manual trading. In terms of payouts, Binolla also looks solid, but I wouldn't put this point in first place. In 12 years of binary options, I've seen many times how traders chase a pretty percentage and then forget the main thing: the payout only matters when you have the right conditions to select a trade. If the platform is convenient, the assets fit your logic, and analysis can be done right inside the terminal, then the percentage really matters. That's why I see Binolla as a strong, versatile choice after Quotex, not because it tries to impress with lots of features, but because those features are actually useful for trading. The next broker is Pocket Option. I don't see Pocket Option as an ideal platform where I like absolutely everything. On the contrary, to be honest, the chart here isn't the most convenient of all those I've worked with. I wouldn't pretend that this is some kind of professional terminal for deep market analysis, but that's exactly the important point. I don't always use the broker as my primary place for analysis. Sometimes I don't need the broker's platform to be overloaded with analytics, dozens of windows, and complex markup. What matters to me is something else, that it's well suited for opening trades once the trading idea has already been found. My process often looks like this. First, I watch the market in a more convenient environment for analysis, like the MT4 terminal, wait for the right trade, watch the price reaction, filter out extra entries, and when the setup appears, I open the trade on the broker's platform. And in this format, Pocket Option works quite well for me, so I don't try to squeeze something out of its chart that it wasn't designed for. I use it where it's actually convenient, as a platform for executing a trade once the decision has already been made. At the same time, the Pocket Option chart itself can't be called useless. For some strategies, it works well, especially if we're talking about precise work rather than complex market markup. Check the price movement, add the necessary indicator, track the momentum, wait for the reaction, and open the trade. I like that there are advanced indicator settings here. This is more important than it might seem at first, because an indicator on its own doesn't decide anything. What matters is whether you can customize it to your trading logic for a specific asset and for the right market pace. The same standard settings can work completely differently on different assets, so the ability to flexibly adjust indicators isn't just for show, it's a proper working tool. Another thing I notice in Pocket Option is that the price movement on the chart feels quite smooth. For binary options, this is important. When the price visually jumps, the chart is harder to read, especially if you're working with short segments of movement. Here, it's easier for me to track the nature of the movement itself, where the price is moving confidently, where it starts to slow down, where momentum appears, and where it's better not to trade at all. But I wouldn't say that Pocket Option is a broker only for manual trading. It has another strong point, copying the trades of other traders. But it's important to understand this feature correctly. I don't treat copying as a set it and forget it button. That's a bad approach. If you just pick a trader with nice stats and mindlessly copy their trades, sooner or later you'll hit an unpleasant drawdown. So it's important to keep everything under control and strictly set your risks. In terms of payouts, Pocket Option also often looks competitive, not always because payouts can change depending on the asset and time, but in most working situations, the percentages here are enough to take the broker seriously. For me, this is an important filter. Regarding assets, I don't feel particularly limited either. I don't need an endless list of instruments. In binary options, it's more important to have a sufficient set of assets where you can read the movement properly, see price reaction, and pick clear situations. Pocket Option has enough of a set for me, so I describe Pocket Option like this. It's not the most ideal chart for analysis, but it's a perfectly functional platform for opening trades, especially if you do analysis outside the broker's platform itself. It has decent indicator settings, smooth price movement, copy trading, competitive payouts, and a sufficient choice of assets. To me, it's not a broker that should replace all other tools. It's a broker that fits well into my trading process. I can analyze the market separately, wait for my signal, take my time, not click everything in sight, and use pocket option just as the place where the trade itself is opened. And it's in this exact scenario that the broker performs best. Now I'll talk about Intrade Bar. And here, the story is completely different. I wouldn't call Intrade Bar a broker that tries to impress with the number of features, a huge list of assets, or the highest payouts on the market. It's not about the wow factor at all. For me, Intrade Bar is a broker about stability, and in trading, stability is often more valuable than pretty numbers in ads. Because when you've been trading for years, you already understand. A platform can be bright, modern, with tons of buttons and promises. But if conditions keep changing, if payouts are one thing today and another tomorrow, if the terminal hinders reading the chart, it all starts to get annoying fast. I use Intrade Bar as a calm workspace without the feeling that the broker is trying to surprise me with a new feature every week. And for me, that's a plus. The first thing I like here is the TradingView terminal. This is a really strong point of Intrade Bar. I often trade on a clean chart without indicator overload because in most situations, it's more important for me to see the price itself, where the level is, where the momentum is, where the price slows down, where a false breakout occurs, where the market acts weird, and it's better not to touch anything. TradingView provides a good picture in this regard. The chart is readable, the layout is convenient, and there's no extra visual noise. This is important to me because I don't like it when a brokerage platform looks like a gaming console. In Intrade Bar, I find it convenient specifically for analysis. Not just to open a trade, but first to calmly look at the chart, assess the context, and see if there's even a good setup. Sometimes a clean chart is enough for me, level, movement structure, price reaction, and that's it. Sometimes I add indicators as a filter, and that's also a plus here. The choice of indicators is wide. You can set up the workspace according to your logic, rather than adapting to a broker's primitive terminal. The second important point is payouts. Intrade Bar's payout percentages aren't always the highest among competitors. If you look at the broker through a beginner's eyes, you might say, well, they give more elsewhere. But for me, it's not just about how high the payout is, it's more about how stable it is, because in binary options, the payout is part of the math. If you're testing a strategy, keeping stats, looking at entry performance, calculating the distance, then it's important to understand under what conditions this strategy works. When payouts constantly fluctuate, it breaks the perception of the result. Today, the same strategy might look fine, but tomorrow, with a different payout, its mathematical sense is already worse. In Intrade Bar, I specifically like the predictability. I understand in advance what conditions I'm working with. Yes, it's not always the maximum percentage on the market, but a stable percentage is sometimes better than a pretty number that's here today and gone tomorrow. For an experienced trader, this is a key point. I don't chase payouts for the sake of payouts. A high percentage alone won't make a bad trade good. But when I have a good setup, a clear entry point, and a suitable expiration, it's important that the trade conditions are reasonable and predictable. Intrade Bar works for me in that regard. As for assets, there are no illusions here either. The selection isn't the widest. If someone needs a platform with dozens of tools to trade different assets every day, Intrade Bar might seem limited, but I don't need such an endless list. But I do like the choice of expiration times at Intrade Bar. Expirations range from 1 minute to several hours, which gives you more freedom. I like it when a broker doesn't force me into a single trading scenario. I can choose an expiration that fits the market rather than trying to adapt my trading to the broker's platform capabilities. Now for the downsides. Intrade Bar has a limit on the number of simultaneously open trades. You can only hold 5 trades at a time. For some, this will be a major drawback, especially if they're used to opening many positions, spreading across assets, averaging down, or trying to recover losses through volume. Yes, sometimes this restriction can get in the way. There are moments when good setups appear on several assets at once and you'd want more freedom. You can trade under these conditions, but technically, the limitations are still off-putting. The main reason Intrade Bar remains in my rotation in 2026 is the sense of a reliable routine. I've been trading here since 2018, and in all that time, I've never regretted adding this broker to my list. This doesn't mean the platform is perfect. There are no perfect brokers. Everyone has their own limitations, their own quirks, and their own weak spots. But Intrade Bar is good for me precisely because it doesn't try to be more than it is. It provides a decent chart, clear terms, stable payouts, enough assets, and a convenient choice of expirations. This isn't a broker for thrill seekers or those chasing the highest market payout every single day. For me, Intrade Bar is a calm, sometimes even boring work tool. Open the chart, analyze the setup, pick the expiration, make the call, and that's it. There's nothing extra here. And finally, Deriv. Now, I wouldn't put Deriv in the same category as most classic binary options platforms. It's a bit of a different story. While I judge Quotex, Binomo, Intrade Bar, or Pocket Option mainly by entry ease, expirations, payouts, and speed, I see Deriv more broadly. To me, Deriv isn't just a place to open a trade up or down, it's more of a trading infrastructure where options are just one part of the overall system. And that's important to understand. Deriv doesn't look like a broker trying to woo beginners with flashy covers, fast deposits, and promises of easy trading. It's more about a different level of approach, different platforms, different market types, and different trading scenarios. You can work with options, look toward Forex, use separate terminals for different tasks, or build more complex trading logic. In other words, Deriv doesn't lock you into one format. For me, that's a plus because at some point you stop seeing binary options as just a simple up or down button. You start looking at the market more broadly, seeing volatility, where an asset is clearer, or where conditions fit a short-term idea. And Deriv is interesting in that regard because it doesn't feel like a narrow platform for just one type of trading. But I wouldn't say Deriv is the simplest or best option for everyone. If someone wants the easiest possible site to just pick an asset, set an expiration, and trade, Deriv might seem overloaded or unfamiliar. And that's perfectly fine. I'd view Deriv not as a broker for your first taste of binary options, but as an option for those thinking about their trading environment. What's behind the platform? What is the broker structure? How transparent does the company look? Can the broker be used for more than one scenario, for different market tasks? This is where Deriv really stands out. Separately, I'd mention the regulatory part. In binary options, this is a painful topic because for many brokers, the issue of regulation looks blurry. Something seems to be written, they seem to be registered somewhere, but when you start digging deeper, it all becomes less convincing. With Deriv, the situation looks more serious in this regard. The company's structure is publicly disclosed, there are licensed legal entities in different jurisdictions, and that's a different level of broker perception. To me, this doesn't mean there are no risks. There are always risks, in the market, in the platform, and in the trader's own head. But I don't like working with brokers that appeared yesterday and rely only on aggressive advertising. In the case of Deriv, you can see it's not a fly-by-night project. The company has a history, different platforms, its own audience, and recognition in the trading community. For me, it's not a guarantee of earnings, but an important filter when choosing a broker. So my conclusion is this: if you need the simplest broker for quick binary trades, Deriv might not be the best option. But if you look at a broker more broadly, want to see a proper infrastructure, different platforms, different markets, and a clearer regulatory base, then Deriv really deserves attention. My advice here is simple: don't tie all your trading to one broker. I'm not saying you should open accounts with 10 companies and jump between platforms every day. That's no longer systematic, it's just fuss. But having several proven working options is a normal approach, especially if you've been trading for more than a month and understand that conditions in binary options can change. I don't choose one broker around which all trading is built. Different platforms cover different tasks. I view Quotex and Binolla as universal working platforms. It's convenient to trade there in different scenarios. Short expiration here, a calmer trade there, testing an idea somewhere else, or just regular manual trading on a clear setup. For me, Binomo is more about a short tempo, when quick decisions, 1-minute expirations, momentum trading, or price reaction are needed. Such a platform can be appropriate. Intrade Bar fills a different role for me. It's not a broker for the wow effect, but for stability. TradingView charts, predictable payouts, a calm workflow. Yes, there are limitations, but as a reliable platform without extra noise, it makes sense to me. I see Pocket Option as a broker that fits well into an already established trading process. You don't always need to analyze the market right inside the broker's platform. Sometimes I find an idea separately first and then use the platform just to open the trade. Plus, there's copy trading, decent indicator settings, and competitive payouts. Deriv stands apart for me. It's not just a platform for binary trades, but a broader trading infrastructure. Different markets, different platforms, a more serious feel of the company, and the regulatory base. Not the easiest option for a beginner, but as part of a general set of brokers, it looks logical. And that's the whole point. I'm not looking for one broker that should cover absolutely all tasks. I look at what role a platform can play in my trading. Somewhere the chart is more convenient, somewhere expirations are better, somewhere payouts are stable, somewhere there are more analysis options, and somewhere there are features like copy trading. This doesn't mean you should chaotically jump from platform to platform. It means a trader should have a set of working tools. Plus, it's a matter of reliability. Any broker can temporarily change conditions, remove a needed asset, drop payouts, delay a withdrawal, or just have a technical glitch. If all your trading relies on one platform, at such moments you depend not on the market, but on the problems of a specific broker. For me, trading with several different brokers isn't about finding the perfect one. It's a way to avoid relying on a single platform, set of conditions, or technical setup. And which brokers do you trade with? Let me know in the comments. Tell me why you chose those specific platforms to trade on. Don't forget to subscribe, give a like if you enjoyed the video, and good luck with your trading. See you soon.